Hey guys, Dr. Caffery here. Today I'm going to continue our discussion with hidden causes of fatigue. Hidden cause number 2, B12 and folate inadequacies. So B12 and folate are B vitamins. They're needed for energy production as well as needed for neurotransmitter production, which both are required for adequate energy. So B12 and folate, if the deficiency of these is more severe, then you can see more obvious manifestations, a lot of times in the nervous system, with the peripheral nerve, spinal cord, or the brain. But a lot of times you don't see that. You see more subtle indications of B12 need, B12 insufficiency, and it might just simply present as fatigue or sluggishness or low mood or brain fog or something of that nature. So a lot of times these are picked up with a blood chemistry. So in a blood chemistry on your CBC, you might see that your red blood cells are too large, what's called macrocytosis. You need B12 and folate for your red blood cells to mature and become smaller. So if there's signs that they're too big, it can suggest a need for B12 and folate. When we see that, we always want to look at other markers to kind of corroborate this story. So we'll look at things like homocysteine. If that's elevated above 7, that can suggest a need for B12, folate, as well as other nutrients. Methylmalonate, when the methylmalonate's elevated, that can suggest a need specific to B12. So if there is a need for B12 and folate, the next thing you want to ask is the question, why? Why is there a need for B12 and folate? And there can be a multitude of causes for this, but let me just discuss some of the more common ones I see. Sometimes we see that individuals are just not taking in enough of these nutrients. Sometimes they're eating a restricted diet, or sometimes they're eating a vegetarian or vegan diet, and that's led to depletion of these. Other times there's genetic issues with the way that you process some of these nutrients like folate, and you might have specific forms of folate that you need to take in order to bypass that deficiency you may have. Another thing that's pretty common is absorption problems. If you see low stomach acid, something called hypochlorhydria, that is a common contributor to poor absorption of these B vitamins. You can see autoimmune type problems where you have your immune system loses tolerance and attacks your self tissue, and your immune system can attack the cells in your gut that produce secretions and are specifically needed to absorb B vitamins and make acid in the stomach for absorption of these nutrients. So that's a not uncommon scenario we see. You might also see situations where somebody's under high amounts of stress, or you might see an athlete that's overtrained, something like that, and they just have increased demand or increased need for these. Or you might see somebody that eats a high protein, ketogenic diet, or a high protein diet, or an Atkins type diet, and they may have a higher need for these nutrients because of the high amounts of certain amino acids like methionine they're taking in. So regardless of the cause, if there is a need for B12 and or folate, it's something that you need to get more of in your system because, like I said, it's critical for energy production and it's critical for neurotransmitter production. So if you have fatigue, having your B12 and folate levels assessed, and then asking the question, why do I have an increased need for these nutrients? If you find that there is a need for them, can sometimes help uncover the root cause of your fatigue. So work with a qualified practitioner who can help you do these things and get to the root cause of what's going on, and if it is B12 or folate related. I'm Dr. Caffery. Thank you for listening.